I believe it was the Rolling Stones that once said, "You can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you might find you get what you need."
It was a beautiful day.
Hi there, Coach Sage Canaday here with another type of training talk. And first I want to say rest in peace, Eddie Van Halen passed away yesterday. I just wanted to play Panama on repeat basically. But anyway, let's get into this training talk. We're going to talk about maximizing your potential and not getting into the negative mindset of, oh, I'm facing setbacks, or oh, I'm limited because of this and this and this and yada, yada, yada. So the theme of the talk is do what you can with the time you have and the body and resources that you have, right? You got to do the best with what you've been given. And sometimes when we're trying to reach our max potential, be that in running, distance running, or in life in general, we don't really quite realize our full potential. We're going to work hard, we're going to try hard, we're going to give it 100%, 110%, right? But we like to pleasantly surprise ourselves because our preconceived limits or notion of what our maximum potential is sometimes could be a lot higher, right? You have a goal of running a sub 3:30 marathon. Well, you start accomplishing that goal, maybe now you might be able to crack 3:20 or 3:10 or even 3 hours in the marathon. Or, you started running last year and you've been running 5Ks and 10Ks. Your goal is to finish a marathon or something like that. So small steps to work up there and not getting discouraged by setbacks or limitations, so to speak. So little story time. Back in AP US history in high school, grade 10, I was like 15, 16 years old. I had a history teacher, great history teacher, and history was not my favorite subject. I was more of a physics, calculus type of guy. But anyway, AP US history, our teacher used to always say, and we'd have quizzes every day. We had to read a chapter in the book, in the history textbook, and they had to take a quiz on it the next day, every day pretty much. He'd said, do the best you can with the time that you have. And for me, that kind of resonated with, I'm gonna speed read and cram last minute the morning of the test as my dad's driving me to school. I'm speed reading the chapter in the car and trying to just cram for this test. Probably not the best take, right? But the idea was that I was doing a lot of chemistry homework and calculus homework and other demanding subjects that I was more passionate in, but doing the best you can with the time you have. Limited resources, time being our most valuable, precious commodity and a limited resource for all of us, right? You'll probably find yourself being pressed on time to train. When can I get my run in, right? Some of you have a full-time job or you have a family, you got to get in your run at the crack of dawn before the kids wake up, before work, right? Before that commute to work. Or you got to try to squeeze in a run during your lunch hour, right? Or you're running after work. In the evening, in the dark, you got your headlamp on, it's dark and cold and rainy. That's tough. That's a lot harder when you only have 30 minutes or an hour a day to train or less than that, and you're trying to train for a marathon, right? And then maybe you have to cram a long run on the weekend, right? You might look at other pro runners, sponsored runners, and be like, oh man, if I had all day to train, all this time to train. Well, imagine if you had 3 hours a day to train and you could sleep in, you could do all the little things, the stretching, the massage stuff. I know the game, and I've been very fortunate myself. This talk isn't about me, but to have that luxury, that's a luxury. That's a big advantage, right? And we look at different things in that, but you've been given this hand, and whether or not you could change these variables and have more time to train or not, it might depend on another set of lifestyle factors, but you try to do the best you can with the time you have to train, right? And you have to optimize your training when you're so limited when you could squeeze in your runs, right? And you have to try to fit things around in your life schedule to get your runs in. And so, that's a balancing act, and that's tough. But it's the same thing with limited resources that we have to train, right? I could look at my Instagram feed and follow these other pro athletes, sponsored athletes. Some may have more financial means than others, right? people are born, we should say in the US, born with a silver spoon in their mouth. And as CCR would say, that ain't me, I ain't no millionaire's son. But, you know, if you're born with a lot of means and you live in a giant mansion and you have the giant basement pain cave where you've got 2 treadmills and your gravel bike and your road bike and your mountain bike and you're on the Zwift and you've got a full weight set in your basement, private gym, you know, that would be awesome, right? It's a heck of a lot easier to say, oh, I'm gonna do some cross training in my gym, in my private pain cave, giant 2,000 square foot basement, versus the people that don't have that or don't even have access to an expensive gym membership. They don't have 3 different bikes and treadmills. You know, Sandy and I, I'm not complaining here, but you know, it would be nice to have a treadmill in this little studio apartment, right? It's 400 square feet though, it's just one room, right? It's like 38 square meters. It would be nice if we had a separate studio or bedroom or pain cave basement with all the lights and the fancy stuff to be able to just film videos. It's a little crammed in here, I gotta admit. But you know what, so what? That's, you know, filming in this corner, that's why you get the boring backdrop, part of the reason. You know, it's what we've been given right now, and hopefully we could improve and expand on that later. And you know, we could complain, so to speak, all we want about, oh, you know, I wish I had this, or, you know, if I just had that. And, you know, that's getting too negative. It's too negative Nancy, or dare I say, being too much like a Karen even, right? We gotta maximize what we have, what resources we do have, and try to make the most of that. People face much, much greater challenges in life. Besides, you know, the financial discrepancies, people growing up in poverty, you see these elite, especially elite East African runners, a lot of them grew up in poverty, right? They came out of deprivation. They're trying to put food on the table. You know, the living environments are harsh. They're dealing with, you know, the weather, adverse conditions, and they're rising out of poverty to run and be the best, fastest marathon runners in the world, a lot of them, right? You know, challenges and adversity add to the spice of life, right? These tough challenges, the tough, earmuffs for the kids, shit that you have to face in life, that's what's gonna shape you and allow for real growth, right? If we just had silver spoons shoved up, you know, our throats all the time and we're just whining and dining and having it easy, life would be boring. Life would be boring and we wouldn't have to get stronger and tougher to tackle the adversities that these challenges bring into our lives. And it's the same thing within the microcosm of running, right? If you're running and it's all easy all the time and you're not doing challenging hard workouts and pushing yourself, getting in better shape, you're not going to be adapting. And adaptation is the real key here. Rolling with the punches. You get knocked down, you have to get up one more time at least, right? You keep repeating that process over and over. And life's tough. Life could be very tough, and it's tougher for some people more than others, but you know, that's the way it is, and that's the hand you've been dealt maybe. So you got to deal with it. And the same thing kind of goes with genetics, right? I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Genetics plays a really big role in your maximum potential as a runner, your durability, but your top speed as well, right? We can't all be like Kipchoge and float a sub 2 hour marathon. It's probably not gonna happen. I don't wanna limit you, but I'm just saying, you're probably not even gonna run under 2:10 in the marathon. Maybe you will, I don't wanna limit you, but you know, they say in pro running, oh, you wanna run faster? Well, you should have picked different parents. Or pick your parents wisely, right? And the mitochondria usually comes from the mom. But anyway, I digress there. Genetics do play a role to some extent, but why limit yourself? Why say, oh, you know, the doctor said in my lab test my VO2 max was only 50. Or, you know, I don't have the fast twitch muscle fibers to run a sub 60 second 400. Oh well, you know, I'm probably not gonna crack 4 in the mile. Yeah, you probably won't crack 4 in the mile, but so what with those VO2 max numbers? Throw the numbers out the door. You know, doctor says, oh, you have asthma. Well, a lot of pro runners have asthma. Didn't get the genetic lottery with the speed, or the giant heart, or the giant set of lungs, right? You know, maybe you were born with one big leg length discrepancy. So what? Earmuffs for the kids, I'm gonna swear here. So fucking what? You know, most people were born with a leg length discrepancy. Could it cause an injury? Yes, you have to be careful with that. And there's varying degrees of leg length discrepancies. You know, one leg's stiffer than the other. You don't have the flexibility for the stride, the power in your stride. You could work on that. You could work on that through strength training, running form training, dedicated training. It's something you can improve upon usually. you can't let that seep into your mental consciousness too much and be a big limiting thing. Whether or not it really affects your running, it could. It definitely could, but we need to transcend these so-called limits and constraints and mentally push through them and try to not be limited. We got to maximize our own potential with the abilities that we were born with the resources that we currently have, the living situation, the workout situation, the time constraints that we have. We need to optimize that and maximize that as much as possible if we want to try to reach our potential in running, and realize that that's a moving target. It's a moving target because it could keep improving, right? Same thing with age, right? Some of you started running later in life. Well, you know, you have a lot more potential and upside probably because your running age is lower. And so even if you're in your 40s or 50s, you might still be smashing PRs, right? Unlike me, probably, who's been running for 22 years year round. So it does matter a bit, but we can't let that limit ourselves. So yeah, with the genetics, I mean, that could go back to the whole nature versus nurture type of debate, right? Because we do things through our diet and lifestyle factors that could turn on and off genes and change our physiology, change our biology, so to speak, that could hopefully empower us to live a healthier lifestyle and a longer lifespan even. But also to feel better while doing it and to be happier and more fulfilled. So that's my goal of this talk, is really just to say, you have the power in you. I want to empower you to maximize your potential in running and to run faster and hit those goals, but more importantly, to live a healthier lifestyle, happier lifestyle, more fulfilling lifestyle by realizing that you have untapped potential probably, right? You can't let these constraints and limits bog you down. And I know I'm being a hypocrite here because I sometimes haven't given 100%. I've been freaking lazy sometimes even. And you know, it's a tough thing to balance in life sometimes, and there's other factors involved, and you found that, I'm sure, as well. But we do the best with the time we have. We do the best with the resources and body that we've been given, and we can only hope for the best in trying to maximize our potential. So in closing, you gotta untap that full potential. Realize that you could pleasantly surprise yourself and give yourself a pat on the back, give yourself some credit for facing these adversities or these limitations and recognizing that you can transcend them, and you can, through hard work, smart work, and you know, dedication mentally especially, overcome a lot in life and improve your running. So thanks so much for subscribing on here. Thanks to Patreon supporters for really making this channel possible. Check out, title sponsor, Hoka One One. Keeping the dream alive. Check out our training plans at sagerunning.com. Coach Sandy and I develop plans for any service, any distance. Hope you're doing well, and stay tuned for more VO2 Max Productions.